Alright, hello, I'm Stephen Sadler and I'm reading to you from Money and Power. We've been talking about the oil industry and how important oil is to our economy and the world moving forward, and most of it's coming from the Middle East. Somewhere around 60% of the known reserves for our future oil supply come from the Middle East, and right now there are two factions fighting it out. In addition, between the Middle Easterners, or Muslims, and the Westerners, American and British, or European, in what is perceived to be a colonization or a domination of the resources, if not the land and politics of the Middle East, there are two factions within Islam that are fighting each other. One is called the Sunni, one is the Shia. Perhaps you've heard of. Well, Sunni, and by the way, if you didn't know, my first book is Looking for God. It's a compendium of all the religions of the world. So I've studied world religions for 30 years and been writing and speaking on it. And one fundamental thing you need to know about Islam is, first of all, it's very hard to understand as a Westerner or a Christian. It has a very different mindset. But there are two factions. The Sunni are the majority. About 90% of all the world's Muslims are Sunni. And they're spread out through northern Africa, throughout Asia, both Central Asia and down in Southeast Asia, places like Indonesia and Malaysia. But 20% are a minority sect called Shia. Shia predominantly exist in Iran. About 80% or more of the Muslims in Iran are Shia. Other prominent Shia populations would be in southern Iraq, places like Basra, south, where the majority of Iraq's oil is, and also maybe 20% of Pakistan's Muslims are Shia. So you have Turkmenistan to the north of Iran. And so if you look at Iran as the primary Shia center, to its west is Iraq, and you have a lot of Shia fighting for control in the southern part of the state. In the south you have Saudi Arabia and Oman, and then going down into Yemen. There's large Shia populations there, as well as a little bit into the east, which would be Pakistan and Afghanistan. So if you went to the north, Turkmenistan, Afghanistan, Pakistan, you go down into the Gulf, you've got Oman, Saudi Arabia coming up into Kuwait and to the west, and Iraq, and then going back up north. You're heading up now in towards Kurdish country and the Soviet Union north of that. So these two factions are fighting it out. And most people don't realize that Iran, being the one Islamic state that hasn't been completely subjugated by Western influence, see, all the smaller Gulf states basically have puppets of the Western hemisphere, United Kingdom and United States predominantly. And so this is resented amongst a large group of people of Islam. The Muslims see Western interferences like a crusade, where our military is here with guns in their countries. We're taking their oil. So people are more and more, particularly the Shia sects, where all this oil is predominantly located, are looking towards Iran for guidance. And Iran has been very influenced in Basra, southern Iraq, and in the communities. Matter of fact, they trade in the Iranian rial. Their currencies, they use Iranian currency for their trading. Most of the commodities that come into southern Iraq or through Basra, which is one of the capital cities where the oil is shipped out into the Gulf. And it's all Shia. So Americans need to understand what Shia are, why they're pissed off, because we are heading towards another world war if we're not careful. We should understand what we're doing.